Hey guys, Lexi here. I was lounging in bed this morning, which is really strange for me. I am not a lounge around in bed type of person. I'm usually up between 4 and 5 a.m. and either outside enjoying the sunrise or doing things around the house. But this morning I just felt so relaxed, so peaceful. I did a meditation on bringing the light and crystalline energies through my body and really helped to kind of ground myself in my body and into the earth. And as I was laying in bed, I started having these thoughts and these ideas, and then I got this inspiration to do this video today. So of course I had to put on a shirt, brush my hair. I brushed my teeth too, so don't worry, there's no bad morning breath over the video this morning. So I wanted to do a video about feeling the uncomfortable emotions that a lot of us try to avoid. I used to be of the school of thought and the belief that you had to work through your fears, your anger, your guilt, jealousy, whatever emotions that are uncomfortable, right? I don't like to say negative because I don't think they're negative. They're all a part of us. Even emotions we don't like, thoughts we don't like, beliefs we don't like, they're still a part of who we are. They still want to be acknowledged. They still want to be seen. They don't want to be just, pushed under a rug and controlled and managed. So I don't like to use the word negative, but I do use the word uncomfortable because that's really what they are. They're uncomfortable, and the positive emotions are emotions that we like. There's the joy, the happiness, the peace, the harmony. Those are all of those things that most of us are wanting to feel throughout our day, are kind of striving to find and figure out how to bring more of into our lives. So I was just kind of thinking and just kind of being with this idea of needing to deal with uncomfortable emotions, and that's never quite sat well with me. Although in the past I did feel like I had to work through things, and that was perfectly right for me at the time. But recently, as I've started to really be more present with myself and really see how everything in this world is connected and one and whole and already perfect as it is, I noticed that a lot of the fears and doubts and uncomfortable stuff that I was still carrying started to dissipate. And in the past month, I just recently had a disillusion of all of my fears and doubts. And I did not think this was possible. I had always wondered if this was possible, if it was possible that you didn't have to work through emotions, you didn't have to deal with them, you didn't have to overcome them. But if you could just allow them to be, look at them, acknowledge them, and then they no longer serve you. Because the more you come home to yourself, the more you believe in your own truth and your own light, in your own wholeness, then all of the illusions around you start to dissolve, because you realize that when you come home to yourself, when you truly know that you're a spiritual divine being, that you're love and light, that everything in this world is your creation and is here to help you, then you start to have a strong belief in your safety. You start to have a strong belief in your own well-being, and that you are perfect. There is nothing to overcome. There is nothing to deal with. So when a fear comes up, you can sit with it, be with it, talk to it, allow it to be there, even invite it in, and it can end up going away and just dissolving into nothing. It's nothing you don't have to work hard at. You don't have to figure out where it came from. You can if you want to. I did that a lot in the past, and it did serve me quite a bit at the time because I really believed I had to work through stuff. So working through these uncomfortable emotions was what served me. And now I've come to a different place where I'm just really present with myself, and I just don't see or feel the need to work with or deal with any of these uncomfortable emotions. So about a month ago, all my fears and doubts just suddenly disappeared. I literally woke up one morning and they were gone. And I'm talking about some of the small stuff, like I had nothing big and overwhelming anymore, but I had some like PTSD type triggers. For example, when a phone would ring, that was something that I had been traumatized by when I was 12 years old. And I still at 36 would jump and have my heart race every time a phone would ring. I would still make myself answer it. I would still make myself, look at that fear and work through it, but it never got better. And in the past month, I woke up one morning and it was gone. And the phone rang and my heart didn't race. And I was able to answer it. I had no anxiety, no fear. Usually before I make a video, I have a little bit of nervousness, or before I do public speaking, you get a little bit of that anxiety. And suddenly that was gone. It didn't matter what I said. It doesn't matter if people like me. It doesn't matter if I get my words right. It doesn't matter how any of my talks turn out, or how any of these little thoughts that used to go through my head that used to give me some anxieties, some fear, they're just gone. It's like I'm so present with myself that there was just no room for the fear anymore. It no longer served me. It just no longer needs to stay with me. So I wanted to bring this to awareness to all of you guys, because I think a lot in the spiritual community, we all are striving to work through and figure out and overcome and transcend our uncomfortable emotions. And I just want to speak my truth and let you all know that you don't have to do that. Perfectly fine if that's what feels good to you and that's something that you want to do. But there is another possibility, and there is another reality. And in my experience, as I'm experiencing it, it's actually even more profound than working through or overcoming or dealing with fear or anger. And the way I started doing this, a few years ago, is instead of working hard to find out the source of it and to really, make myself, what's the word, figure out the fear and be okay with the fear and kind of push past the fear, I started inviting all my uncomfortable emotions in as friends. I would have this imaginary tea party in my head, and say I was feeling guilt or shame over something. I would allow myself to have that guilt. I would invite it to come sit next to me. I would talk to it like an old friend and tell that guilt. I would really see it and really hear it and communicate with it, so it wasn't just pushed into the darkness. I would talk to it and I would thank it for everything it had come to show me. I would thank my guilt for everything it had done for me, and where it brought light to where I really didn't, want to stay in my life. I wanted to move on to something that felt better. But I would allow it to be, and I would tell all my uncomfortable emotions, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. And at first that was really hard to do with anxiety, because I have had a lifetime of anxiety, and I really did not like that anxious anxiety feeling. But the more I started inviting my anxiety to stay with me, instead of trying to figure out how to get rid of it, it started to get less and less on its own. And it no longer needed to be managed, because I wasn't trying to hold it away from myself. I wasn't trying to move around it. I wasn't trying to kill it. I was inviting it to stay as a friend, because that anxiety is a part of me. That, all of our emotions, like I said, are a part of us. They're just a part that wants to be seen and heard. It's just energy. And once you see it and hear it, it can move on. It either has a message for you and you follow that and you discover more about the depths of your heart and your truth and what that's leading you to, and then that message can move on, or we just ignore it. We ignore these little messages that our emotions bring. We ignore our intuition, and then they just kind of stay with us, or they keep coming back, and we keep having these fears and these anxieties and these anger and emotions until we really look at it and we really see what it's trying to tell us and allow it to move on. So I wanted to bring that to light, that we don't have to work hard at, we don't have to deal with, we don't have to overcome any of these dark parts of our soul. I've heard them called like having a dark night of the soul. That's kind of what they are. Those parts of you that you've kind of shoved in a corner and kind of kept in the darkness, because they're really scary to feel. They're really scary to visit, and sometimes we don't feel safe visiting them. But the more we see them as friends and not something to be scared of, even if it feels overwhelming, it's still okay. They're not going to take over. They're not going to, the fear and anxiety is not going to run your life. It's not going to steamroll you like over a train. It's not going to come knock you down and kill you. It can feel like that sometimes because the more we've resisted and pushed away what those messages are, or even those emotions themselves, they got bigger and they felt like they got more powerful, but they really didn't. So you can sit and just allow those emotions to come up, allow them to be with you, surrender into them and see what happens. See what happens. Because quite often when they come out of the closet and when we're okay with them being there, it's the same as giving them permission to move on. We allow them to serve us in however they came here to serve us. A lot of times these emotions, when you're first starting to look at your emotions, it has a lot of messages about your childhood and the past and beliefs that you took on that weren't your own, and what you're truly desiring for your life and what's true for you. And that's what they're here to tell us. That's why we get anxious, and that's why we get afraid, and that's why we have anger. It's because of stuff we couldn't express when we were young. And it just wants to be seen and heard. That's all. So there's nothing you have to overcome. There's nothing you have to deal with, but just sit and be present. Invite those emotions, invite those uncomfortable feelings. Challenge yourself to say yes to those things, even those situations that you were trying to avoid. Say yes to them instead of trying to figure out how to get rid of them, how to get around them, how to be more spiritual, how to create more love for yourself. I mean, that's all great to create more love for yourself. I'm totally, a fan of that. Do what feels good to you, but also recognize that our inner truth is that we are love and light. That's what's actually true. The rest of it is all illusion. So you don't actually have to find love for yourself. You don't actually have to go out and create love for yourself. It's already there. We just need to dissolve the illusions by allowing those emotions, allowing those parts of us that we've been trying to avoid, those parts of us that we haven't wanted to look at, by allowing them to be our friends and be there with us, allowing them to come back to us, come back home to us in a way that serves us now, in a way that allows us to find our center and our peace, instead of keeping us constantly out here kind of jittery and lost and not sure where to go or what we're doing or who we are. So that's what I wanted to share. Try it and see what happens. You might make some new friends with yourself and with your emotions, and find another harmony and balance that you didn't even know could have existed. Have a good day, guys.